Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Are you guys ready to hear one of the scariest stories I've ever heard from when I was a trucker back in the day? Well, let's get to it. And please remember to subscribe and give it a like to the video if you enjoyed it. Thanks. Today's story is called The Haunting Hitchhiker. The midnight road stretched endlessly before Jack, his truck's headlights carving a narrow path through the oppressive darkness. The radio crackled with static, and he fiddled with the dial, seeking a station that might keep him company on his long haul. But the isolation of the open road was relentless, and he soon resigned himself to the silence. It was on one of these desolate stretches that Jack first saw her. A lone figure, standing by the roadside, illuminated briefly by his high beams. She was dressed in a pale, flowing dress, her long hair cascading around her shoulders. She raised a hand, signaling for him to stop. Jack hesitated. Picking up hitchhikers was against his better judgment, especially in the dead of night. But something in her eyes, a desperate, haunting plea, compelled him to pull over. "Need a ride?" Jack called out through the open window. "Yes, please," she replied, her voice soft and distant. "I need to get home." He opened the passenger door, and she climbed in, her presence filling the cab with a cold, eerie chill. She introduced herself as Emily and gave him an address in a small town a few miles off his route. Jack nodded and resumed driving, the unease settling deep in his gut. As they drove, Jack tried to make small talk, but Emily's responses were brief and cryptic. She spoke of her home and how she had been waiting for someone to help her return. The minutes stretched into an uncomfortable silence, broken only by the hum of the engine and the occasional rustle of her dress. Finally, they reached the address she had given him. It was a quaint, old house, its paint peeling and windows dark. Jack turned to tell Emily they had arrived, but the seat beside him was empty. A chill ran down his spine as he realized she had vanished without a trace. Perplexed and unnerved, Jack approached the house and knocked on the door. An elderly woman answered, her eyes widening in surprise at the sight of a stranger. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice wary. "I'm sorry to bother you, ma'am," Jack began, "but I picked up a woman named Emily. She asked me to bring her here, but she disappeared from my truck." The woman's face paled, and she clutched the doorframe for support. "Emily?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "That can't be. Emily died 20 years ago." Jack's heart pounded in his chest as the woman recounted the tragic tale. Emily had been killed in a car accident on the very road where Jack had found her. Ever since, there had been stories of her ghost, forever seeking a ride home, hoping to find peace. Jack left the house, his mind reeling. As he climbed back into his truck, he glanced at the passenger seat, half expecting to see Emily's ghostly form. But there was nothing, just the lingering cold and the unshakable feeling that he had been touched by something beyond the grave. As he drove away, Jack couldn't help but glance in his rearview mirror. The image of Emily's haunting eyes burned into his memory. The road ahead seemed darker than before, the silence more oppressive, and he knew that he would never forget the night he gave a ride to a ghost.